Okay, lesson 30. We're going to start off with a little bit of deductive reasoning. It says, use deductive reasoning to write a conclusion for the following pair of statements. All integers are real numbers. 4 is an integer, so what is your conclusion? Well, what you do is you change the first one to your conditional statement form. You know, if P, then Q. So if a number is an integer, then it's a real number. So change the first one to the if-then statement. Then 4 is an integer. That's what they gave you, the second one. So if you have this and this, what is your conclusion? So if this one refers to the if part, then you can conclude this. If it refers to the then part, you cannot make a conclusion. So 4 is an integer, since it refers to this, then you can say 4 is a real number. Okay? All right, so here it says, which is a valid conclusion based on the following information. Two angles are complementary if the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. So in an if-then statement, if the sum of their measures is 90 degrees, so that comes first. So if the sum of the measures of two angles is 90 degrees, then what? They're complementary. Then they're complementary. Okay? It says, now angle CAB and ABC are complementary. Now that's referring to the then part, not the if part, right? So can you conclude that that triangle ABC has 3 congruent sides? No. Okay. How about that they're collinear, these sides? No. Okay, so it's going to be one of these. Can you conclude that the angle is 90 degrees? No. But if they're complementary, that means their sum is 90 degrees. Doesn't it mean that? So if their sum is 90 degrees, which is the first part, then they are complementary, right? So what are we saying here? That this is the definition of 90 degrees. Now remember, now the reason this one's this way, you might think it's not, but it is, because definitions follow the form of like P if and only if Q. That means if P is true, then Q. It also means if Q is true, then P. Okay, so definitions follow the P if and only if Q format. Okay, let's move on down here. So this is vertical angles. We know they're congruent, so we set up an equation and set them congruent to each other. Subtract 10 from both sides, and I get that x is 11. Okay? Now that's simple. We're not going to go on with that. Flip it over. So we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. It says find the measures of 2 and 6. So I want to find these two. Okay? Now, these two are not congruent. This is a smaller angle than this one. This one's acute, that one's obtuse. This one is obtuse. It says that R and T are parallel. Therefore, all the acute angles are congruent and all the obtuse angles are congruent. Since this is obtuse, then 2, the measure of angle 2 is 145 degrees. Okay? They have to be congruent. So the measure of angle 6 is supplementary to that. So the measure of angle 6 is going to be 180 minus 145. So it's 35 degrees. Okay, so let's look at that again down here. It says, which of the following best describes the relationship between 4 and 6? So it's these two. Okay, they are, first of all, they are between the two parallel lines. They're called interior. They're on opposite sides of the transversal. So they're going to be alternate interior angles. Remember, corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal. These are exterior, like 1 and 7. Okay? Number 7 says the measures of two angles of a triangle are 25 and 67. what's going to be the measure of the third one? Well, I know that 25 plus 67 plus my unknown third one, x, is 180 degrees. Okay? So if I add these two together, what do I get, 92? And then if I subtract that from 180, I get 88 degrees. Okay, this is the way you write an equation. This is the equation. I mean, I know you guys go, I'll add that up and subtract it from 180. But that's not an equation, because it doesn't have an x in it. So we'll write an equation for this one. Okay? We know that this angle right here is congruent to this angle right here, right? So if I want to find x, I'm going to say x plus 143 plus 22 equals 180. Okay, so what does that mean? I'm going to then add those up. That's 165 equals 180. So x is equal to 15. Okay? Alrighty. Have fun.